Good morning. Welcome back to online teaching session of Academic World School, Bemitra. As usual, I am here to teach the history chapter. The name of the chapter is Nationalism in Europe, and it is the first chapter of your class 10 history. And as usual, I would like to say you that be attentive, be ready with your copy and textbook. Open your textbook, and whatever I shall be teaching here, whatever I shall be writing here, all the things have to be noted by you. So last time I had discussed about Napoleon Bonaparte. I had discussed about the rise of Napoleon and the fall of Napoleon. When Napoleon found that there was defect in directory rule, he took advantage of it and he crowned himself as the ruler of France in 1804. And after he became the ruler of France, he did lot of things for the welfare of the people, for the development of his empire. He got involved in infrastructural development, then he got involved in various reforms, and in this way, although he was a monarch, he behaved as if his empire was not a monarchy but a democracy. Means, in spite of being a monarch, he incorporated all the features of democracy like equality before law, okay, and end of privileges on the basis of birth. So everything was going right. Then he decided to expand the boundary of his empire and he diverted his attention to other European countries. He captured them, and there he did not prove to be a very good ruler. There he adopted the ways like censorship, high taxation, and forced conscription, forced recruitment. Means he exerted pressure on the colonial people to join the army. So all these things deteriorated the image of Napoleon Bonaparte. Initially, when the other European countries had been captured by him, there the people had become happy that this man is good because he has proved to be good ruler in his own country, and this man will prove to be very good for us as well. But soon they realized that this man is actually not a good man. In fact, he is a demon monster in the disguise of human being. And gradually their heart shattered into millions of pieces under the rule of Napoleon Bonaparte, and then they developed a desire to get rid of him. They requested to other European countries, big powers like England, Russia, Austria and Prussia. And then these countries joined their hands and fought battle against Napoleon Bonaparte in the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. So in the Battle of Waterloo, Napoleon Bonaparte was badly defeated by England, Russia, Austria and Prussia. Okay. Today we are going to discuss about the making of nationalism and the birth of liberal nationalism. Okay. So this is the topic that follows after Napoleon Bonaparte. So here we will discuss how did the liberal nationalism take birth in Europe. Before discussing about the birth of liberal nationalism, I would like to say about how was the European society before 18th century Europe. How was the European society? Last year we had read in the French Revolution that before 1789, remember 1789 is also 18th century. Okay, so before 1789, how used to be the society in France? French society had been classified into first estate, second estate, third estate, and first estate and third estate had people like clergymen and nobles, Okay, and they had support from Louis XVI, and all these people tortured the people of third estate. So, first estate and third estate were the privileged classes. On the other hand, the people of third estate were underprivileged classes. Okay, so in this way, the people of third estate were fed up with the people of first estate and second estate, and even from their monarch. They were fed up, and they had developed a desire that we must get rid of these people. Okay, so from here we have got the first point. How was the society before 18th century in Europe? First point. Remember one thing, industrial revolution had taken place in 18th century in England. Okay, and all the basic reformations in the society started after industrial revolution of 18th century. You know that England is considered as the motherland of industrial revolution. Here the industrial revolution started, and gradually rest of the European countries came under the impact of this industrial revolution, and they also became industrialized. So before 18th century, the European society was classified into three classes or three estates. First estate, second estate, and third estate. Okay, so this is our first point. Before the 18th century, the European society was classified into three estates: first estate, second estate, and third estate. I am underlining here. Then you know that first estate and second estate were the privileged classes. On the contrary, the third estate was the underprivileged class. So I am writing here. First estate and the second estates were the privileged classes, while the third estate was the underprivileged class. First estate and the second estate were the privileged classes, while the third estate was the underprivileged class. UNDERPRIVILEGED, underprivileged class. Okay, so this class, third estate, was going through miserable phase, and you know that there is a certain point up to which a human being tolerate humiliation. There is a certain level up to which a person can tolerate the injustice. And when that level is overcome, when that level is crossed, then the anger comes out of the human body and it is visible in the form of revolution. So our history has witnessed whenever there has been injustice, people have come forward and replied to this injustice in the way of revolution. Revolution is the best way to terminate the injustice. So here also some people came forward. So who were these people? So in fact these people were the educated people, okay, and they came out from the third estate. So third estate could see the birth of a middle class. Okay, it all happened after the Industrial Revolution in the 18th century. Once again I am repeating, it all happened after the Industrial Revolution in the 18th century. A new class took birth in the third estate, and it was a class of professionals. It was the class of educated people. It was the class of doctors, engineers and teachers, and they were educated, and their class was called middle class. Okay, as they had broad mind, they were very much logical, they were very much rational. Their brain ran like a horse, their brain ran like a bullet train. So they were the first who realized what is right and what is wrong. Okay, so they understood that we are the people who are being discriminated and we are being tortured by the people of first estate and second estate and this rubbish monarch Louis XVI. And in rest of the European countries also same thing was happening. So as we are educated people, our brain is broad, we can understand that what is right and what is wrong. Who are thinking? The educated people. So they decided, why not we should arouse the spirit of the common people. Okay, we have to terminate the atrocity of this monarch, the people of first estate and third estate. But we want revolution, and revolution cannot take place with just one individual. In fact, revolution becomes very much effective when there is large participation of the people in this revolution. Revolution is what? It is a collective action, and it becomes powerful when lot of people come together. So we want the support of the common people, and it is possible when they are inspired. So we are educated people and we will circulate our liberal ideas through magazines, newspapers and public speech and inspire the common people, and ultimately these common people getting inspired would start revolution. Okay, so these people were liberal nationalists. Middle class people, the educated people were the liberal nationalists, and they had inspired the common people to organize revolution against the atrocity of the monarch, against the atrocity of the first estate and second estate. So my third point, after the industrial revolution in the 18th century, Europe, a new class of educated people emerged in the third estate. Once again I am repeating, After the Industrial Revolution in the 18th century Europe, a new class of educated people emerged in the third estate. Okay. These people were professionals like doctors, teachers, etc. Next point, this class was also called liberal nationalist. This class of people was also called the class of liberal nationalism. Once again I am repeating, this class of people was also called the class of liberal nationalism. Okay, my next point, these liberal nationalists developed the idea of liberty and equality. Seventh number point, to terminate the atrocity of monarch and the people of the first two estates, they decided to motivate the common people and ignite the spirit of nationalism in them by circulating their liberal ideas. Once again I am repeating, to terminate the, this is what E, to terminate the atrocity of monarch and the people of the first two estates, they decided to motivate the common people and ignite the spirit of nationalism in them by circulating their liberal ideas. Okay, and you know, ultimately what had happened, that revolution had started in France. French Revolution had started against the people of first estate, second estate and monarchy. Likewise, in many European countries had taken revolution, means the revolution had been organized in many European countries, and they had got inspiration from French Revolution. Later on we will be discussing about Greek War of Independence, February Revolution of France, July Revolution of France, then German unification, Italian unification. All these things we will be discussing later on in our upcoming videos, and all these revolutions had taken inspiration from French Revolution. So in this way, French Revolution had shown a positive impact not only over the people of European countries but also over the people of Asian countries. Okay, my next point. Point number 8. What did liberal nationalism mean by their term liberal nationalism? I mean to say, what did the liberal nationalist mean by their term liberal nationalism? Politically, the liberal nationalist meant a government by the consent of the people, and all people must have equal voting rights. This was their political meaning. I mean to say that liberal nationalist politically meant that there must be a government that must be according to the consent of the people, and all people must have the political power like equal voting rights. Okay, so this was their political meaning of liberal nationalism. Then economically, what did they mean? Point number 9. Economically, they mean that all must have the right to work and earn money, and there must not be any trade barrier. Any trade restrictions. So economically, what did they mean? They wanted that all people must have the right to work. All people must have the right to earn money, and at the same time, market must be free from all kind of restriction, so that the traders and merchants would be able to trade freely, so that the traders and merchants would be able to market their products freely, and ultimately this will lead to the growth of economy of the European countries would develop. So economically they mean that all must have the right to work and earn money, and there must not be any trade restriction. Next point number 10. Point number 10. What did they want socially? I am talking about whom? Liberal nationalist. Liberal nationalist wanted what? Socially. Socially, they wanted equality among the common people. Okay, so they wanted to establish equality. Who? Liberal nationalists. So socially they wanted equality among the common people. Next we are going to discuss about legally what they wanted. Legally they wanted equality before law. So all these things were there that were wanted by the liberal nationalists. They wanted to bring all these things in the European society. In this way, they wanted the reformation of the European society. They thought that these are the ways through which European society could be reformed, and they had started applying their effort. They had started their journey of bringing democracy in European countries. And last year you had read that in France, French Revolution was one of those attempts, and it had been successful. After this, democracy had been set up in France. So it was all because of liberal nationalists. They had aroused the spirit of the common people, and ultimately common people had organized French Revolution, and they had been successful through French Revolution, and they could establish democracy in their own country. Next, we are going to discuss about conservatism. Okay, our topic of liberal nationalism is over. My next topic is conservatism. Conservatism. Last time what I told, that if the suffix ism is used with any word, then that word means a kind of idea. So conservatism is also an idea. An idea of whom? Idea of conservatives. Conservatism is an idea of conservatives. And last year in the Russian Revolution, I had taught all of you who were conservatives. Conservatives were those people who had not a relationship of friendship with liberal nationalists. In fact, you know in physics what you have read, magnet, and magnet has two opposite poles. So conservatives and liberal nationalists were also just like two opposite poles. They did not match with each other. Their opinion did not match with each other. So conservative, liberal nationalists wanted to bring democracy in place of monarchy, whereas conservatives wanted to go ahead with monarchy. They were not against monarchy. They were in support of monarchy. They were against changes. They were against monarchy. They were in favor of old tradition. Understood? So this kind of people were they. They did not want any change. They wanted to go ahead with old same tradition. Monarchy, feudalism, serfdom. Okay, but after the 18th century, even some changes could be seen in conservatism. Some new conservatives came forward, and these conservatives were different from the old conservatives. Old conservatives wanted to go ahead with the same monarchy and same tradition, but new conservatives, where they had also some similarity with the old conservatives, they also wanted to go ahead with monarch, but they were ready to accept modernity. They were ready to accept modernity. One thing I would like to say here clearly that they were ready to accept modernity, but they wanted that modernity must come gradually. Modernity must come gradually. So they wanted to accept modernity, but in a gradual manner. Understood? So here I am going to write some points of conservatism. First point, the idea of conservatives was called conservatism. Second point, the conservatives wanted to go ahead with the same monarchical government. They were against any change in political, economic, and social spheres of life. So remember one thing, the conservatives wanted to go ahead with the same monarchical government. They were against any change in political, economic and social spheres of life. After the industrial revolution in the 18th century Europe, after the industrial revolution in the 18th century Europe, a new kind of conservatism developed. These conservatives, these were also in support of monarchy, but they were ready to accept the change in the gradual manner. In this way, the new conservatives were different from the old conservatives. Here I have written about the old conservatives. Okay, after the industrial revolution in 18th century Europe, a new kind of conservatism developed, and these were new conservatives. I am not written here new, but I am referring to new conservatives. These new conservatives were also in support of monarchy. They also wanted to have monarchy, but little bit they were different from the old conservatives. They were ready to accept the change in the gradual manner. Okay, and next time we will be reading about what was the impact of this new conservatism. Next, in my next video class, I shall be discussing about the influence of new conservatives. So I am going to wrap up my chapter, and assignments are going to be given here, and see the assignments, and my assignments are based on today whatever I have taught, and you can take the points from here. Okay. It is not very difficult. My first question, assignments. Assignment number 4. First, what is liberal nationalism? My second question, how did the liberal nationalism take birth? And my third question, what did the liberal nationalist mean by the term liberal nationalism? Okay, stay safe. Bye bye. In my next class, I shall be discussing about the impact of new conservatism and then lot of things about German unification, Italian unification. So read the text.